This camp is part of a brigade, and a brigade is an autonomous operating unit of a collective. You can have a sheep herding brigade, a camel herding brigade, an irrigation brigade. While it is autonomous in operating its own business, it is also a unit of the nigdal, or collective, and therefore its work and its interests have to be coordinated by the central committee of the nigdal. Every member of the nigdal draws pay according to an elaborate work points system, but he also gets a bonus for exceeding the normal production rate. I think a point about collective ownership in the nigdals that needs to be made clear is that private ownership also continues. A man, or rather a family, can own horses, cows, other livestock. But why have private ownership at all? Because, for one thing, the people in the collectives are extremely prosperous. What they draw from the collectives is pay and their yearly share of the production, which gives them a good deal of purchasing power. The Nigdal Center is a group of administrative buildings surrounded by a village of tents. The people ride in here to buy what they need, and of course not only do individuals come in for personal business, but the representatives of brigades and other units ride in here to consult with the central authorities about this and that. There is a school here, a hospital. The party has its own buildings and center, so does the youth league. Then there is the Nigdal shop. There is also, interestingly enough, a small distillery which produces liqueurs flavored with Gobi Desert berries and fruits of various kinds. In the winter, the salt lake close to the Nigdal center is frozen over for several months. Camels are at their prime after the good autumn grazing, and this is also the breeding season in which the bull camels are in rut. They then froth at the mouth, and it is astonishing to see the way the foam freezes around their muzzles. Darkway. Tanay bigger some in Richolo Migdala, Angel and I often all dance Turulsan. And the Yadwal Sana. You get Turulsa.
Mana somewhat of Purta in Kuchter in Tuk. Yagatrufter Mana Namin by Wodoch, Ortane Buchasotik, Utterchatak. Entadar Mana Namin to Horanas, Utadaradang, Ortang or Nudik, Adarado Tokto Tarasan, the Mana Namin by Wodoch, Natehood Muschidodich by Tahude Japson. That I get them Terun Cinder Manadol, such a list could bring. Could go to your socialist could bring back to go. To what was socialist could bring could go to the mana swimming Buch Kungam working Yirin Tower Hoven Hammer. Otto Baraka Yirin Naim Hoven Hammer. The in socialist could bring could go but Mother to him Buch Kiswooded band. At Ernest Hatton Gatter trading in Ultur band. За туслах үйлдвэрийн бусад салбаруудаар бол байна. За ингээд Кэскүүдийн хурал хийж яах гэдэг ихтэл социалист хөдөлмөрийн бригадууд бол хорлож байна. Тийм ээ. За социалист хөдөлмөрийн хөдөлгөөний амлалтыг бол жил бүрийн 1-р сарын 1-ээс эхлээд нийт байгууллагууд авна, хамт олнууд авна, хэсэг бригадаараа. За тэрнээс гадна бүх нэгдэлд ажиллаж байгаа үйлдвэрд ажиллаж байгаа бүх хүн бол социалист
The committee which is meeting here consists of the chairman, 2 deputy chairmen, the chief of the cadre, the head of the youth league, the head of the veterinary service in the Nigdal, the head engineer, and the chief of the Women's League, and the head accountant. In some ways, the accountant is one of the most interesting figures of all. When you have a revolution that is trying to take people from the Middle Ages into the 20th century, the sudden introduction of things like double entry bookkeeping is just about as revolutionary as you can get. In the old days, practically everything they produced was taken away from them either by the nobility or by the clergy. Today, everything they produce goes into the common fund of the collective, and from it they draw wages as they go along, and also a share of profits at the end. So that the great change between the new Mongolia and the old Mongolia is that in the old Mongolia there was great wealth among a few people, contrasted with utter poverty among the majority of the people, whereas today I should say that the standard of living here is higher than anywhere else in Asia that I have seen. From Freedomnigdal, it is about 80 miles to Altai, the capital of the province. The outside temperature is minus 40 degrees. The buildings are heated by underground flues running from a central heating station. The young people are urged to realize that the old skills still have value, and that the older men who know these skills should be respected that the young should learn from the old. Mongolia has a long, long history and a marvelously rich history. There is a chapter of it here. This is a burial ground of the early Metal Age. And these graves here are important not only to the history of Mongolia, but to the history of that vast belt of country where Europe and Asia melt into each other, Eurasia. Graves of this type spread from the eastern part of Mongolia all the way through to the Black Sea, the Danube, Hungary. The people of these mountains were at the same time shepherds, also cultivators, and workers of metal. The fact that they were cultivators is indicated partly by the way the graveyards are distributed, because there was quite a primitive science also in the selection of sites. It was carefully regulated according to where the sun rose, where the southern exposure was for greatest warmth in winter, and where water was for irrigation. This technique of irrigation is not something new. This is very, very ancient. It has centuries of history behind it. All for many, many centuries here in Western Mongolia, in little spots where there are natural oases, all through the centuries, people have done a bit of cultivation. This type of channel digging, this kind of blocking the channels with a clod of earth, has been known for many centuries. In fact, probably since toward the end of the Stone Age, there has been cultivation in little natural patches of water in the Gobi, water seeping out through the scree at the base of the mountains. And at various times in Mongol history, when there has been settled government over a relatively large area, we know even from the written sources that time and again agriculture and fruit growing and so on have been developed. Then in periods of warfare they die down, but they never quite die out. What we're seeing now really is a larger scale application under the conditions of a socialist government capable of organizing and coordinating the whole country and capable of long-range planning, a revival of these very ancient techniques in a modern form. The maker and leader of the Mongolian Revolution, is honored in Ulaanbaatar on the 50th anniversary of the proclamation of the Republic.